Happy Devils Monday. This is Game Day Live, coming to you live from American Whiskey, 51 Edison Place, across the street from Prudential Center, next to Championship Plaza. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Vinnie Parise, somewhere in Chicago, and our special guest, Jennifer Streeter of PucksandPitchForks.com, streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network as the Devils take on the Vancouver Canucks tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern start. Hughes Bowl, I don't know what number it is now, Jennifer.
Oh, gosh. Don't ask me, but however many there are, they're as iconic as the last, and I just appreciate you guys having me on. Vinnie, Sam, I'm excited to get into all things New Jersey Devils and Hughes Bowl with y'all.
Is Vinnie counting?
It's gotta be like 11 or 12, where at least one of them is playing, or at least one of them is playing for the Canucks and one of them is playing for the Devils. Sorry, I got real nerdy real quick. Right when you asked that, I'm like, how many is that? I don't know. But yeah, it's always a good time.
It is as many as fans enjoy it, so hopefully it'll just keep on happening unless there's some trade movements or anything like that.
Absolutely. How's everybody doing? Sam, I thought you were wearing a Canucks hat for half a second before.
No, I'm wearing my Penn State Nittany Lions hat. What are you talking about? It's college hockey like madness going on. Penn State making the big dance. Will be playing in Allentown, I believe, on March 27th at the PPNL Center. So I'm looking forward to that, my alma mater, Vinnie.
I personally am an alma mater of Texas A&M, so big SEC gal over here. I'm sure as listeners tune in, they'll hear me say y'all quite a bit. So apologies in advance. That does get me some looks here up north.
Hey, Texas A&M's a cool school. I love the SEC as well. But Jennifer, I understand recently you were out on the streets interviewing New Jersey Devils fans talking about the Hughes Bowl. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so last game against Ottawa, I went around interviewing, I want to say it was around like 15 fans just about pre-Hughes Bowl hype. I talked with a lot of fans and learned that, as I'm sure no one is surprised, fans have come in from all over the world. In fact, for this specific Hughes Bowl, I talked to people from Seattle, people from Chicago, people from even London, who really have just come in and said how excited they are to see Quinn and Luke on ice. Obviously, a big storyline that fans mentioned to me is the fact that Jack, unfortunately, is unavailable due to his season-ending injury. But fans are still excited. You know, I'm excited to be up there in the press box covering this game. So definitely was very cool to get the fan perspective for sure.
Very, very cool. Sam?
Oh, well, you know, look, we all like to see Jack Hughes in the lineup. It's not going to happen. But just so you know, the Hughes family, they usually come by American Whiskey before these kind of Hughes Bowls. They're usually Jack's dad is like outside, Mr. Hughes, we'll call him, and Mrs. Hughes.
Ellen, my favorite. She's an icon, a legend. She is the moment.
Yeah, and also the MVP of five-time MVP of the New Jersey Devils, Ellen Hughes. Would you agree, Vinnie?
I mean, I've loved Ellen from the moment that Quinn was drafted. And then when Jack made his first ever appearance against Quinn, she was wearing that shirt that had a Devils logo and a Canucks logo on it, and Jack scored his first career NHL goal. I mean, she's just an iconic figure in New Jersey Devils lore at this point.
Yeah, and I think going even further on that, a lot of people do overlook her own career in hockey as well. Mm-hmm. You know, she herself is involved with the USA Hockey, and yes, of course, she's known as the mother of the Hughes brothers, as she should, because she's given birth to 3 amazing NHL hockey players, but I think her own career is also not to be overlooked as well. And then while we're on this topic, while I was interviewing fans, where I was interviewing most of them actually was as they were waiting for the Devils to come out post-game after Ottawa. And we did see a Jack sighting. He was in Luke's car in the passenger seat driving away. So I'm sure he's very excited for tonight, and I'm excited to see him support his brothers as well.
That's like breaking news.
I mean,
well, that's some inside information.
Inside information. Jack was in the passenger seat of the car, so I don't want to have it. Don't quote me on he's going to be here supporting, but he was driving away with Luke post Ottawa. So do with that information what you will.
Well,
I love to see that he's around because we just want him to get healthy and feel better going into the summer so we could be ready for a strong training camp. Like, that's obviously the most important thing there, but it's got to be cool. He'll get to watch it from up above this time.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, Vinny.
What do you think, Sam?
Is it my turn, Vinny? I thought I was producing today. Anyway.
Well, I mean, everybody wants your input all the time. You're the goat. You're the cookie guy now. Like, everybody wants
I know.
And not just the cookie, you are the winning cookie, you know.
All right, so I got some questions. See, this is the first time you've been on the podcast. I'm trying to fill you out. We just met like 15, 20 minutes ago. So when you're interviewing these fans, you get this sense of, like, they're definitely devoted, right? They're coming from all over. Now, what's the furthest place that they're coming from?
London. One girl from the UK,
London.
yes.
The other day, one of our podcast fans came from Red Deer, Alberta, just to come see. Just happened to be Devils fans, so they went for the Calgary game and the Ottawa game. And I find that hockey fans are the most devoted fans out of all the sports. Would you agree, Vinny? Like, just the dedication, the travel, the just absolute loyalty. Do you get
100%? Last year I was at a game in Chicago. I think they were playing the Devils, the Blackhawks, and I met a traveling Yager. He was like fresh off an airplane from Czechia. So yeah, these people, they go crazy. I mean, think about how crazy we go, and then put it like in terms of someone from Europe or the other side of the world in general. Like, it's nuts. Hockey's by far the most devotion.
Yeah, Vinny, I'm going to jump in here. Just when I interviewed fans, yes, devotion, but also creativity as well, Sam. Like, when I was interviewing these fans, the amount of, like, signs they made that they showed me that were very cool, the amount of, like, do-it-yourself, DIY, if you will, like, clothes that they made. The little, like, I don't know if y'all know the trend where, like, when young girls go to concerts, they, like, exchange bracelets, like concert bracelets.
Yep.
They do that here with Devils, like, bracelets. One girl, Mia, was showing me her bracelets where she had bracelets made with, like, each player's name and jersey number, and then it's apparently a trend that they exchange them at the game. And then breaking news for y'all, apparently one fan said that Cody Glass is a One Direction fan. She said Directioner confirmed, because her sign that she was showing me was that, like, it was a recreation of a One Direction CD. Apparently when she met Cody Glass, he originally signed her One Direction CD. And so since he signed it, she believes that he is a Directioner, 100% confirmed. So
wow.
Very, very devoted fan base, but creative fan base, I would also say as well.
Vinny, did you know that?
I knew that they were doing the friendship bracelets. I have heard about that. I didn't know it was, like, still a thing. Like, I know how big it was with the Eras tour with Taylor Swift and all that, and we're bringing it over to Devils games. I mean, that's incredible. That's like two amazing worlds coming together. So
I got a confession, because I'm one of those crazy fans. Years ago, I used to go through the NHL media guide.
Oh my gosh, I use that religiously, for sure.
Just to find out any dirt on the opposing player. And the one thing I found out was Tom Pody of the New York Rangers back 25 years ago was allergic to peanut butter. So I would chant peanut butter throughout the game just to be funny, and that was the only one that, anyway, you had to have been there. But that's
one
what
of the
fans
most
do.
Sam Wu stories I've ever heard.
That's what fans do. They try to get an edge over something so stupid. But somehow in the NHL media guide, it said he's allergic to peanut butter.
Yeah, I think also just like adding in as a female sports reporter on the younger side, I think the reason why I got to learn some of these fans' takes where they were showing off their friendship bracelets to me, and they were showing that they think these players, like, are One Direction fans, allegedly. I think they can, like, relate to me and kind of want to, like, give me a little bit of their scoop, if you will. So that was definitely cool to see.
Well, that's pretty cool. Are you a One Direction fan?
I mean, no, not really. My dad raised me on, like, classic rock and roll and stuff like that.
That's good stuff.
So I don't know, just as growing up a female in sports, like, I like to say I'm, like, half a dude, if that makes sense. But Don't mind One Direction. For sure, no.
Do you like One Direction, Vinny?
Absolutely. Like, huge.
I actually have a One Direction story if anybody wants to hear it.
No, you don't. I don't believe you.
We used to call William Nylander on the Leafs Willie Styles because he looked a little bit like Harry Styles, even though he really maybe a Swedish version. But yeah, Willie Styles.
I'll tell you my One Direction story, just real quick.
Okay, I am seated for this.
All right,
I'm ready.
so it's not what you think, but so Devils Rangers Game 6, 2012 Eastern Conference Finals. That series, I asked Jim Brewer, the comedian Jim Brewer, Saturday Night Live, do you want to go to the game? Do you want to go to the game? And he goes, I got to take my kid and her friends to a One Direction concert at the Izot Center, which was the Continental Airlines Arena back in the day. And I'm like, you're kidding me. But at the last second, he got out of it, and his wife, Dee, took him to the concert.
Props to him, I'm sure.
And
Props.
after he got out of his Sirius show, he got in my Jeep, and we went straight to the Prudential Center.
There you go. There you go. Happy ending for everyone involved. You know, I'm sure that was a great moment for his wife with, you know, the children and whatnot.
Yeah. But I didn't even know who One Direction was, to be honest with you.
Oh, that is a lie.
I didn't
like,
know.
I can sit here and say I'm not the biggest One Direction fan, but, like,
I didn't know.
I feel like everyone has to have some knowledge of their existence.
Not really. You hear of them, but I didn't know what songs. And anyway.
Okay, that's fair. But you know what? Speaking of One Direction, because I feel like they're a group with somewhat like drama, I would love to get into the Sheldon Keefe comment with y'all.
Yeah, we want to hear drama. So what happened?
Wait, really quick, before we jump into that, I always like to fact check Sam's stories. And so I Googled One Direction's tour in 2012, and on May 25th, 2012, they were in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
I don't lie,
so
Vinny.
funny.
I love when people fact check me.
Also,
The way you recall it that quick is so great.
No, but also, like, I feel like that's too elaborate of a story to lie. Like,
True.
Fair.
that's very elaborate. That would have to be like some significant storytelling for you for that not to.
Oh,
be
yeah.
true.
People know when I lie on this podcast because I'm very sarcastic. The arms start waving, you know, all that kind of stuff. But, well, Vinny likes to fact check me, but there's no fake news here. Yeah, no, that's a real story. And I got more stories that night. But, no, I want to hear about the Sheldon Keefe. I want to hear all of it.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, basically post-game, he ended his press conference by saying that one of his players simply just needed to play better, and then he walked off and completely ended the press conference. And I'm someone who I actually worked in sports PR for a year before I transitioned into NHL external reporting, and so I really got to learn a lot about coaching mentality and kind of their attitude. And I feel as though a lot of Devils fans were kind of surprised that that was the comment that he made to Colby. But me personally, coaches love being right. Coaches love being the ones who get to share that kind of information.
Yep.
And I wasn't really surprised in the slightest. I do think the proper response would have been, you know, Colby's absolutely right. We do need to be playing with a playoff mentality. You know, at the end of the day, they're number 3 right now. They're not in the top 2 contention in the Metropolitan Division. So if they want to get there, they do need to have that playoff mentality.
Yep.
So I don't see an issue with what Colby said at all.
Yeah, well, you know what? I love coaches that hold their players accountable.
Mm-hmm.
But they're calculated when they do it in front of the media as well. Because sometimes you don't want coaches to be just barking all day long thinking it's going to work. You know, you could tell it was a very calculated statement.
Okay, yes, but I do want to disagree with you slightly, Sam. I'm so sorry.
No, we disagree on this podcast all the time.
Just a slight, because if it was calculated, I don't think he would have immediately walked off and ended the press conference right after.
Ooh. That is interesting.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. But if it was premeditated, he might have...
You know, maybe I could see what you're saying. Maybe he said that to end the press conference.
Could be.
Does that make sense? Obviously, it wasn't a pretty game against Ottawa, so maybe that was his pivot to be like, I'm out of here. I don't want to deal with the media anymore.
Do you see how we went from a slight disagreement to a nice little conspiracy theory?
Yes. I love a good conspiracy theory.
See, this is why we agree to disagree on this podcast, because it always brings up new ideas. I would have never thought of that. That it was just, boom, done. Right, Vinnie?
100%. I was listening to 32 Thoughts earlier. Elliot Friedman, he knows Keefe well because he was in Toronto. And I kind of agree with what he said, too. Like, Keefe is low-key like a tough coach. Like, he doesn't come off as someone who's like a hard-nosed coach. And Toronto got used to it after a while. The Devils went from Lindy Ruff to Travis Green to Sheldon Keefe. And he reported that there was a little bit of a culture shock there with the Devils, and you kind of see it from time to time. I do think Kovacevic said the right thing. I agree with Jennifer. That's exactly what I would have said. And for the reporter probably got that quote from Kovacevic and was like, "Oh, we're going to do a great story here about how the Devils need to, play like it's their last game of the season or whatever." And so they asked Sheldon Keefe about it, and then he drops that bomb on them and then ends the press conference abruptly. I don't have a problem with either. Keefe, he probably doesn't obviously only think that about Kovacevic or that game. I mean, they lost 3-2. They almost tied it late. Everybody needs to have that playoff mentality, and I hope they take that away from the entire thing going into tonight's game against Vancouver. Against Thatcher Demko returning and that team being just as desperate, if not more desperate, if you think about it. I think a lot of positive could come from that overall.
Yeah, and I think a lot of positive could come for motivation-wise for the Devils this game, just coming off of that loss against Ottawa. Obviously, Luke is extremely motivated going against Quinn, so I don't know. More so transitioning back to the Ottawa game, I think that's going to give the Devils motivation for this game specifically. And when we're talking about the Hughes brothers as a whole, Quinn's last game against New Jersey, they also lost in a brutal fashion, if you will, and Keandre Miller scored a goal off of Quinn's skate. So I think going into this game, there's tons of motivation all around.
100%. Oh, that game for Vancouver was brutal. Shesterkin played out of his mind, and the Rangers had no business winning that game. And then the icing on the cake, who iced it with the empty net goal? JT Miller. Oh, that was disgusting.
Yeah, so for those
I
don't know if Sam and Vinnie, if you know this, I don't know if the fans do as well. I'm the site expert for Blue Line Station, which is the Pucks and Pitchforks of the New York Rangers for Fansided. So it's very interesting for me covering both the Rangers and the Devils at the same time. What was so interesting for me was when I logged onto Twitter after that game, so many fans were tuning in to the moment where JT shoved Quinn against the boards, and we're like, oh my God, I can't believe he did that to his former teammate. They're supposed to be close friends, yada yada.
Keyword
but
former.
At the end of the day, the name on the front of a jersey is more important than the name on the back of the jersey, if you will. So I really don't think that was a good take from the fans, if you will. I'm so sorry, fans. But I personally, as someone who's coming from being a sports reporter in the SEC where we didn't have hockey, and I've personally loved getting to cover the physical side of hockey. That's one of my favorite aspects of the game.
Absolutely.
Vinny, we got to get to predictions, and Jennifer has to get to the get inside the building.
Get to the press box,
in a couple
if you
minutes.
will.
So get your predictions, everybody. Get your predictions on the YouTube Live, X Live, and Facebook Live. Before we let you go, we need your predictions for this game, Devils Canucks.
I'm so sorry, but I think I'm purely basing it off the fact of Quinn being mad about Keandre's goal off of his skate that I'm going to give the Canucks the win by 1 goal.
By 1 goal.
By 1 goal, I'm going to give the Canucks 1 goal. Let's go 3-2 Vancouver.
Okay.
Let's go 3-2 Vancouver. Luke had 2 assists last game, so definitely going to give Luke something. Luke's going to get a point for sure.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's my prediction.
Wow. We got some predictions in the YouTube Live. Selected Boys says 4-2 Devils. Survey says 3-1 Devils. Anthony LaPena says 2-1 Devils in overtime. Jim Norton says 4-2 Devils. Vinny, I'm going to go to you.
I'll go oppo of what Jennifer said.
Okay.
Give me 3-2 Devils.
Okay, so you know what that means is like someone in this podcast is going to be correct. That's what this means.
Oh, that would be cool.
That's
We
a
like
positive
when
spin.
that happens.
That's
We
a
like when that
positive
happens
spin.
here.
Did you
Luke
ever
has
work in
13
PR?
points.
That's a positive spin.
Well, again, guys, sports PR for a year. So
okay.
I had to do a positive spin on everything for 1 year.
Wow. Wow.
That sounds about right.
That
So
was
Luke has
very
13
believable.
points in his last 13 games. I agree. I could see him impacting this game. Hopefully it is for the benefit
Ooh, additional
of
prediction.
even-
I'm so sorry. I'm going to add one in. You know how I said that I saw the Jack sighting? Prediction, like, he's going to be here. Like, there's going to be a moment with him on the big screen. Like, that's also my prediction.
Yeah.
Oh, that needs
Okay.
to happen.
That's not inside information. That's a prediction, right?
You know, you guys can do with the information that I previously said what you will.
Okay.
I can say that fans told me that they saw Jack in Luke's car after Ottawa.
Okay. Sounds good.
So I'm letting that statement be a statement.
So what was your prediction again, Vinny?
3-2 New Jersey Devils.
Yes, and then I'm 3-2 Canucks.
All right. Well, I'm just going to blow up all the predictions, but before that, AJ Visco, 3-2 Devils. Joseph Laneham says 5-1 Devils. Eddie says 4-3 Devils. Zach says 4-1 Nucks, going on your train right there. Tori says
4-1, wow.
4-2 Devils, says Tori, Anthony LaPena's daughter, who I'm going to meet next month. 9-0 Devils, says Jacob. Max says 7-3 Devils. And Mike Rossi says 4-3 Devils. I'm calling blowout. The Devils, they've been slumping, but they're going to get up for this game after that press conference. I got to say 8-1 Devils.
I think no matter what happens, the fans that have come in from all over the world, whether it be UK, Seattle, or wherever, they won't be disappointed. I think that's something Vinny and I can agree on, Sam and I can agree on, and then the fans tuning in can agree on.
Yeah. A nice positive spin to end the podcast, right?
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. We'd love to have you again.
Oh my gosh, I want to be back. I hope the fans want me back, but I definitely want to be
absolutely.
back.
No, Brooke Amanda wants you back. She wants more of this.
Okay.
Yeah, she had already said that in the live chat. I didn't read her comment out, but I've been reading. People love you on this podcast, and the second time you're on the podcast, you're officially a friend of the podcast.
Perfect.
So we're gonna have to make arrangements. We'll talk to Nick. We'll get something going for pregame. But thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah,
and,
thank you guys for having me. Glad to be here, and tune in to Pucks and Pitchforks for all things New Jersey Devils content.
Absolutely. All right, we're gonna get out of here. I'm gonna hit the music. It's hard to do producing in a live venue. It's tough.
Okay, so the videos that I made where
Uh-huh.
it was like the fan segments,
Yep.
I made that video with Adobe Premiere Pro, and that's like the max of my skill set. So I can only
Really?
imagine.
Yeah. We got to talk.
And don't forget,
afterwards.
we'll have some live footage from Game Day Live from the United Center when New Jersey takes on Chicago on Wednesday.
Yes, absolutely. And don't forget to drink And Crew Brew. And Crew Brew, where we make winning memories together, one crew at a time. The official beer of the Let's Go Devils podcast. Till next time, let's go Devils.
Let's go Devils.